But if you close your eyes,
good day and welcome back to Pass It On. I have the Honorable Mr. Ravi Bakru. He's going to give us some guidance on how to use the internet and technology to obtain jobs in this great job market. Welcome to the show, Mr. Bakru.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm glad that you are here. Can you briefly tell us a little bit about your educational background?
Well, I started out going to undergraduate at the University of Maryland, College Park. I did a few years of teaching after that and decided to go to law school at George Washington University. I practiced a few years, and then I came back to teaching here at North County High School.
Okay. As I said, we want to talk about how to use the internet and technology to get jobs. So if you could tell the viewers and the listeners out there, especially students, what classes should students try to take to try to prepare for the job market that's out there in that society?
Yeah, it's a really exciting time to use technology, and I know we offer a ton of classes when it comes to learning how to use the technology, all the way from the basics of learning just the basics of how a computer works, keyboards and typing, all the way up to the more advanced computer science classes, programming languages. I think we have one of the best computer science programs in the county. Both Mr. Sirota and Mr. Bernstein work extremely hard to challenge our kids and sort of bring them up to speed in terms of using computers and different types of software.
Okay. And how could you use, I see right now you got a quality phone. Is that a type of phone that could be used to get a job or to use it as some type of an advancement?
Yeah, absolutely. And I see a lot of people have or look at a phone like this and say, well, I wish I had that. But the reality is that the phones are just a tool, and the difference between this iPhone 6 Plus and say an iPhone 5 is really not that much.
Right.
Everything you can do with an iPhone 6 Plus, you can do to some degree with an iPhone 5 or even an iPhone 4. It's just about the degree to which you're able to do it, and it's about learning to use the tool in your hand to your advantage. So, if you don't mind, I have a little story about how I got a job using technology.
I mean, the viewers will definitely be entertained by it.
I was just out of law school, and the economy was really, really bad, and it took me almost a year to find a job. And at one point, I learned I had a crappy phone back then, but I had a laptop, and I was searching around, and I came across this really great tool that not a whole lot of lawyers knew about at the time.
Right.
A lot of lawyers, they pay tons and tons of money to do searches, and they pay people to do searches for them because they want to know what the law is.
Absolutely.
But there are also free tools out there that are just now being developed on computers and phones. And I came across one that not a whole lot of people knew about. And I didn't have any money, and I learned about this meeting with maybe 200 or 300 lawyers in D.C.
Okay.
Now it's one of those things where you sort of had to pay to get in, like $400 or $500, and I didn't have that.
Right.
So I snuck in. It was just one of those things where I had to make a desperate attempt to get a job.
Absolutely.
So I started walking around and meeting people, and I started showing them this tool. I started saying, hey, do you know about this? Do you know how to use it? If it's not something that you know about, well, I'd love to come in and just talk to you for 15 minutes about how you might be able to use this to save yourself some money.
Okay.
I eventually got kicked out of that meeting, but I did get at least 5 phone calls from really old attorneys, older attorneys who didn't know what they were talking, didn't know the technology, to come in and show them what this was. So
Right.
a 15-minute demonstration on this saved them probably $3,000 or $4,000 a year, but it also allowed them to see me as someone who was just this bright young new guy. And I ended up getting a job because of that, because someone said, hey, we'll take a chance on you and give you a 6-month trial and see what else you can do for us.
So needless to say, Mr. Bakru, if you wouldn't have snuck into that meeting back during your college days, then you probably wouldn't have become the individual that you have become to this day and being a great educator here at North County High School. What piece of advice would you like to share to the listeners and the viewers out there?
I think the biggest piece of advice is just to try. I see a lot of kids these days in my classes especially who are really, they don't use a computer and a laptop all that often, and so they're afraid to try to type things, and they're afraid to go out because they know it's going to be hard and it's going to be slow. But the reality is that when you start something new, it is going to be slow, and you got to sort of build up to the point where you can use that technology to your advantage.
Okay. As you see, young ladies and young gentlemen and young adults out there in the world, Mr. Bakru has provided us with some guidance and some insights on how to use technology and the internet to be able to obtain jobs. I would like to thank Mr. Bakru for stopping in and sharing his wisdom and his guidance. And next week we'll be talking to Don't Hate Collaborate and also PBIS. So please stay tuned. And once again, thank you for viewing and listening to Pass It On, a Knights Nation TV talk show. See you next week.